Hello and welcome to Business Strategy Live, and today we're going to be talking to Amarjeet. I've known Amarjeet for quite a number of years, so we're old friends from a long time ago. Amarjeet, first of all, I wondered if I could just ask you how you started out. Why did you become a member in practice within SEMA? What drove you to do that, and what made you make that decision?
Good afternoon, everyone. Anyway, yes, Steve and I have been old chums for many years. Why members in practice? Well, actually, I really didn't set out to become a member in practice per se. I had qualified in '97, did my MBA 2 or 3 years later, and then emigrated out to Dubai in 2000. And as you do, you as an expat, you go there for 2 or 3 years, but end up living there for 10. So I was out there for about So I was out there for about in total about 13 years. 10 years initially with the family. We came back in 2010, and then I went back out for another 3 years. By the time I came back, it was August about 2013. Now, when I came back, the UK was in a fairly deep recession at the time. Jobs were very difficult to get hold of. And I would have thought that, somebody who's qualified, who's got, stacks of experience, has been international resident, would walk into a job pretty much straight away. It was quite the reverse. I really found it hard, tough, trying to get into a full-time job. Companies were giving me excuses like, you don't have local UK experience, or certainly recent local UK experience. So that was a challenge, what to do then. And it was at that time then I decided that perhaps my skill set was offering FD services, interim FD services, and that type of stuff. And that's really how I started out. I registered with agencies and so on. Again, agencies really didn't help that much initially. It was my own little black book of contacts that I had that led to me starting my consultancy back in sort of 2010-ish. I spent 3 years outside, and my first port of call, my first consultancy job was in Saudi Arabia through a Bahraini contact that I had, and I ended up there for it was a 3-month contract, but we ended up for about 6-7 months there, and that's really how I started my interim FD roles. And it was only when I came back in sort of late 13, early 14, when I decided that actually this was a role that I could do here, and perhaps find a market to go for. And that's when I started registering for the MIP status, as it were. And I must admit that it was at that time it was the most difficult thing to register as a member in practice that I ever came across. It was so hard work. It was only down to you, for instance, to help me through getting some of the work through and getting some of those documents completed. But otherwise, it was a real challenge. It was a real challenge, and that's how I started out.
Yeah, getting those jobs overseas, that sounds pretty incredible. How did you manage to get those jobs? Did you have personal contacts that led you to get those in the first place when you went to work overseas?
So when I was working out in Dubai, I was very lucky enough to be working with. I spent 2.5 years with probably the prime real estate developer in the Middle East, land bank of $3 trillion. So it was a huge organization. I had a team of 65 people working for me and all sorts of stuff. So it was a very well connected job there, and then within 2 years or so, I was headhunted by one of the members of the royal family's operations, and I worked for the royal family for about 6 years. And so again, through those connections and through those that very valuable black book that really developed over those 6 years or so, that's how I managed to get those particular assignments.
That's
So
amazing.
it was pretty. I mean, for me to be able to call up and say, I'm gonna even today, some 10 years later, if I want to go back to Dubai and start up a consultancy operation, it wouldn't be too difficult. Because some of the people that I was working with at the time are still in those roles or even better roles, and so it could be a matter of a few phone calls and a short plane trip, and away I go again. But I don't want to go back. I've done my stint here. Done my stint.
Sounds good. It sounds very
happy where I am.
Okay. What do you do as a member in practice now? What sort of things do you do?
So as I said, initially the consultancy was essentially to help small businesses, cash management, the usual for FD type roles that small companies that need. But as I started to work with more and more of the companies, a lot of them started coming back to me and saying, "Well, look, Amarjeet, you're looking from a strategic point of view for all our companies, but we need some help from the operations side. And what do we do? Because our accountants aren't helping us, or I'm constantly having to go to them to get information." And that's when I thought, well, actually, good idea to start offering the back end side of things as well. And that's when I started offering the full range of accounting, VAT, PAYE side of things. But I must admit, I wasn't very good at doing some of that technical stuff. And so I slightly changed my business model and changed it into an outsourcing model. So all my back end accounting related work, VAT, PAYE, day-to-day bookkeeping, etc., is all outsourced, and I very much concentrate on doing the sexier accounting side, the consultancy side of things, and also bring in partners. So if I need help on tax, I'll bring in tax experts. If I need help on HR, similarly, we've got HR guys, lawyers, etc., and bring those 5 or 6 people on board as and when I need additional help.
That's a good strategy.
Yeah. No, I spent when I started out the consultancy, one of the first things that I did was to spend probably the best part of 8 or 9 months networking the hell out of networking. To be honest, I went to every breakfast, lunch, dinner, tea, coffee, evening meal that I could possibly get my hands on, so I could network. And that through that networking is where I met people like yourself, for instance, and others who were able to guide me and also say, well, why don't you do this, and we'll help you from a legal standpoint or from an HR standpoint and so on. And that's where I ended up almost selecting the 5, 6, 7 players that I wanted to work with, that I felt very comfortable with, and we deliver that whole service. So if you were to go to my website, there's a few things that I deliver, but it seems as though I've got a team of about 20 people working for me, and that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. I have a team of, I'm on my own. It's my own some lonesome company, as it were. But in reality, I probably have a whole team of people doing the outsourcing work. And I have access to a number of experts in their own fields who can come under my banner effectively and deliver that service to my clients.
It
works really, really well.
Yeah, it's something that many members in practice should consider when they're first going in, particularly, is that you don't pretend to be an expert in everything. If there's, bring together a team, a power team of people that you can work with, that you can work together to win stuff, and everybody uses their expertise rather than somebody saying, I can do everything, and you can't do everything. You need to focus on the things that you're good at.
Yeah, and I think it takes time to find out what you're good at as well, actually. So once you start talking to clients, you then become, well, actually, I'm pretty good at that little niche in the charity sector, or in the hospitality sector, or in the travel sector. Yeah. But I'm not so good at manufacturing, or I'm not so good at whatever. And that's when you start bringing these people in. And when you bring those people in, and they're talking to your clients, you're learning from them effectively as to how to deliver that service. So you pick up a lot of understanding about how that client works, even from some of the other guys you bring in as well. So it's a great learning curve. But then you're able to then go to new clients today, and I can confidently go to virtually any client there is and say, yes, I can deliver that service, because I know that I've got fallback, and I can bring other people in.
Yeah, that's the perfect way to do it. Definitely, that you have the experts behind you, and that's something that's really good amongst senior members, in that we're all ready to help each other if we need to, and there's a team there of people. It's not just, you're not on your own. It might be your own company, but you're not on your own.
No, certainly. I think certainly in the MIP world that I've entered, I do a lot of mentoring, and I do a lot of help with setting up with new MIPs who come on board, and I work a lot with them, because I know that those guys need help on setting up processes, etc., but also they need help on understanding what it is that they can deliver and what they can't deliver. I know when I started out, I didn't have that help, other than a few people. I can literally count on my hands the 2 or 3 people that really helped me and guide me through. That wasn't available then, but actually there's a whole team of people that's available now that you can go on and talk to, and get any information you like, whether it's tax expertise, VAT, R&D, or anything like that. There's a wealth of people out there who are all MIPs, and the beauty of these guys, we MIPs as it were, is that we do look after each other, and we've got everybody's back on things that they need, the information that they need.
And when I was speaking to Praddy a week or so ago, he was telling me about the outsourcing to Sri Lanka.
That's right.
How's that been going? Because I know he said that he was working on that with you as well. So
Praddy and I actually set up the outsourcing operation, so we're business partners on that front. That's good. So we have a team of people. We have a team of about 6 people out in Sri Lanka, and we're currently recruiting another 2 people at the moment, in fact. And that works really well, because we've trained them all on Xero, QuickBooks, Free Agent, and so on. So it's all cloud-based. Those guys are all SEMA qualified accountants. They speak English just like you and I speak English. They understand the UK accounting aspects of it. So UK GAAP is not a problem for them at all. And they understand, and they're virtually through the SEMA syllabus. So they've got the same mindset that we have. And that helps us an incredible amount. And we can
that's good.
Get them to do all the back end side of things. And when we wake up in the morning, we've got draft accounts to have a look at and pass on to the client if we need to. And it works very well.
That's a good system, very good. And I think that's how we're heading overall with everything these days. Things are much more global than they used to be. So if you need a service, you don't just have to look at people local to you or people in your own country. You can use the best people wherever they are. And
I know initially when Praddy and I met, we were discussing about where to locate this particular. We wanted to set up an outsourcing service. And we now look after not only our clients, but we actually look after other firms' accountants and look after their accountants and their accounting needs as well. But we were thinking of whether it was India or Philippines or where else do we set up, and Sri Lanka felt like a natural home because some people may not know it, but actually the second largest population of SEMA accountants is in Sri Lanka.
Oh. No, I didn't know that.
So it was natural that's where we were.
Choice on that basis. Yeah.
Freddie had some good connections. I had some good connections out there. So it was just it didn't take us very long at all to start recruiting and putting something in place, and it works very well. Touch wood, it works very well for us.
Very good, very good. And one of the other things I wanted to ask you about is, I know you're very closely involved in organising this year's conference. I know you're on a lot of committees as well at SEMA, but so perhaps if you could tell us a little bit about that, that'd be really helpful as well. I'll just put the link up so that everybody knows where to book if they want to book a place. But tell us a little bit about your role in the conference.
So I've been involved with SEMA now for the best part of 20 years from a back-end point of view, so being on SEMA Council and various committees that SEMA have. So I'm currently Vice Chair of Global Member Engagement. I was on the Benevolent Fund for a little while. The association, which is the AICPA joint venture with SEMA, I was on the board of directors. I've just finished my 3-year stint on the board of directors there. And of course, the MIP panel. And MIP panel I've been on now for about 6 years. So this is my, I think, 5th or 6th conference that we're organising. This one is going to be the most strangest out of a lot, to be honest. We've obviously the others that we've had were all face-to-face sessions in various parts of the UK. But this one, I think we've really turned it on, I think, and got a platform for a virtual conference that's going to be incredibly useful to both existing members in practice, but also to those who are new MIPs coming on board, who are looking to start off business and start off their own. And that's, as I said earlier, right at the outset, it's so hard to start your own business, and it's so almost it seems like a formidable task to get on there and start doing what you have to do.
Yeah.
But if you've got the support and you've got the people around you, it's really not that difficult. It can be done fairly simply and fairly easily because you've got guidance and know where to go. So I would urge those people to, certainly those people who are looking to join and start their business and start their new life, especially after the recent lockdowns and so on. I know a lot of people are rethinking their careers, and working from home has become a habit. And now perhaps if they've lost their jobs or they're about to lose their jobs as they become redundant, then what do? So starting your own accounting practice, and you don't have to be an expert. So long as you have some level of knowledge and consultancy that you can have a niche on, then that's fine, because you can always outsource everything else. So it can work. So those are the sorts of things we would then help you at that conference to come along. Certainly there's one particular day that's dedicated for new members. So that's sort of like the pre-MIP, as it were, where we will talk about helping you set up practice, what softwares you need, essentially the nuts and bolts of setting up your practice there. But also from the other 2 days, the next 2 days, there's a lot of technical, there's a lot of soft skills things. We've got sponsors coming on board. But it's going to be a really, really good, interesting conference, a useful conference. Pick up CPD as well whilst you're at it as well.
Yeah, no, I think this is going to be a really useful conference for lots of people. It's going to be quite very unique because it's the first virtual one that we've done. But also, you say we're going to be facing in the next few months possibly lots of business closures and redundancies, even for our members. And that's often a catalyst for many of them to consider whether perhaps they could start their own business and they could sell their specialist skills that they have, because all SEMA members have worked in business and they have some skills that they just need to bring out and promote, really, and that could be their route forward. So it's really important, this one, for those sort of people. Now, I know you look at sponsors.
The thing that SEMA accountants have in common with all of our SEMA people is that we have this uncanny ability to look forward rather than look backwards. So we are different, and therefore that really helps. That gives us a competitive edge on anyone else that's coming into the market.
Yeah, and I know you've been very busy getting sponsors for the conference, and I'm really pleased to know that you've got Free Agent on board as a main sponsor. I think Free Agent are fantastic, and they do, their software is great, and you get it free if you bank with NatWest or Ulster
or any of their groups. So NatWest, Royal Bank of Scotland, and I think their new sort of online account called Metal. So if you sign up with them, you can get the accounting software for free. But it sounds like a gimmick, but actually it's worth almost £400-500 a year. So it's not a bad benefit to have, and at least it's good guidance, and you can then offer it out to your clients at a discount as well. So I think it's a win-win situation with regards to that.
One of the things that's good with it as well is that obviously you can it does actually generate some of the tax returns within the software as well. So it's designed for it does dividend vouchers, all kinds of stuff like that. So there's lots of great features that if you were starting out, I know that most people will be drawn towards Xero and Sage and QuickBooks because they're the market leaders. But for a whole range of people, Free Agent would be a good solution. And I
think recently they've also announced a final accounts preparation module as well, so you can produce your financial accounts from there as well. Look, it's not the greatest one in the world, as it were, but it really helps. Certainly for those people who are starting out, it's a great opportunity for them to at least get on the board and start working on it. I think it also has CIS capability as well, so it is very, very useful. Very
it does make it digital as well. You can send your VAT returns and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty good software. I think they've got quite a lot of users as well. I know that last time I looked, there's over 40,000 users. I think they've probably got more than that now. So they've got quite a big user base now.
Regularly, yeah. We get updates from Free Agent regularly, and there's a constant flow of information and constant updating of the software that's going on. But also, they do a lot of knowledge transfer exercises as well. So it's not just about learning how the software, but they actually give you webinars on what the latest tax is and what the latest rules are as far as CIS might be concerned, and so on. So they do provide with a lot of support, on all fronts.
Yeah, no, very impressed with Free Agent, and I'm a partner to Free Agent as well as one to Xero, Sage.
I am indeed as well.
So yeah, I think it's definitely it's a great bit of software, and something that people should definitely consider when they're looking at what they should use, especially if you can get it for free because you've got the right sort of bank account.
Why not? Absolutely. Why not?
No, that's good. Okay, well, that's fantastic, Amarjeet. Thank you very much for talking to me today, and really appreciate you coming on and giving your point of view and telling us a bit about your background and stuff like that. I think that's really important to people. And I'm going to draw it to a conclusion there. So thank you very much for talking.
Thanks, Steve. It's good to talk to you, and good luck to everybody, and see you at the conference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.